At the movie's outset, Hanif, accompanied by his wife Nadia and their 3 children, visits the old orphanage to see Pak Bandi, his former bedridden caretaker. A sudden scare ensues when Hanif accidentally hits something with his car. He investigates and discovers a deceased deer. Suspecting they might have hit the deer, they backtrack, only to stumble upon an injured girl lying in an unseen trench on the opposite side of the road. Later in the evening, they arrive at the orphanage and meet Mamun, an old friend of Hanif's who now manages the orphanage. Mamun's wife, Sidi, who also grew up in the orphanage, joins them. Hanif's friends Anton and Jeffrey arrive as well, accompanied by their wives Eva and Lena, respectively. Inside, Mamun informs Hanif that only 2 children are currently at the orphanage, as the others are on a bus trip. He introduces Hanif to the children Hasbi and Rani, and Hanif introduces them to his own kids. Nadia accompanies Hanif to meet Mr. Bandi, but his reaction to Nadia is unexpectedly strange. While settling the children into their rooms, Hasbi makes fun of Rani, who was abandoned at the orphanage by her mother but believes her mother will eventually return. The subject of an unopened room comes up, and Hachi attempts to enter it later on, only to be stopped by Rani. She shares the story of Ibu Mira, a caretaker who went mad and claimed that a demon had taken a runaway girl named Myrni. The group believed Ibu Mira had harmed Myrni and locked her in the room until her death. As they reminisce and look through old photo albums at the orphanage, Hachi discovers a hidden album beneath a cupboard. The photos in the album appear to be reversed. When Anton inquires about the album, he finds a photo containing Miss Mira. Hachi questions Anton about the woman who went insane and was confined to a room, and Anton explains that she fell ill and eventually passed away. He shares the story of Myrni, one of their companions, who went missing. However, Hachi questions whether Miss Mira might have murdered her and buried her in the forest. Later, Hanif discovers a piece of fabric entangled in his car, along with a clump of hair on the hood. Anxious that he might have hit a person, he brings Jeffrey to the location of the impact. There, Jeffrey confirms that the girl is deceased, which greatly frightens both of them. At that moment, Hanif notices a nearby bus, adding to their unease. Hanif goes on to check inside the bus, where he encounters a horrifying sight: the lifeless bodies of the orphanage's children in a distressing state. Jeffrey joins him, and they realize the severity of the situation. With no cell signal, they conclude that they must return to the orphanage to call the police. During dinner, a peculiar scene unfolds as Lena abstains from eating, and Eva uses a spray on her hand. Anton recalls that Lena had suffered from a skin rash, which was ultimately attributed to dry skin. Meanwhile, Hachi confides in Rani about spotting Mrs. Mira in a photograph, prompting Rani to offer showing him a related video. Later, Rani plays the video, revealing Mrs. Mira with a noticeable limp. However, she stops the video, concerned that it might lead to unsettling nightmares. Hanif and Jeffrey return to the orphanage, displaying signs of nervousness that catch Anton's attention. They ask him to inspect the back of their car, where Anton is horrified to discover the lifeless body of the girl. Hanif admits to accidentally hitting a young girl on the road and encountering the ill-fated bus containing the orphanage's deceased children. Anton advises them to contact the police, but the orphanage's phone is found to be inoperative. Anton makes the decision to proceed to the site first and subsequently visit the police station. Meanwhile, Casby and Ronnie inform the children that the room was once utilized as a bedroom for the orphanage but was abandoned due to mysterious footsteps heard around it. Upon reaching the location, Anton encounters the ominous bus. As he enters, he is confronted by a chilling sight: all the children standing inside. Suddenly, the door slams shut, and he spots a woman outside the bus. An egg fractures from beneath his foot, releasing a swarm of insects that begin to emerge. The children also turn their attention towards him, witnessing the insects crawling over his body and entering his mouth, resulting in his harrowing demise. Inside the house, Nadia approaches Hanif to inquire about their departure, only for a decapitated chicken to unexpectedly plummet onto the table behind them. Both of them react with profound shock at this sight. Lena attempts to initiate a romantic moment, but Jeffrey intervenes, expressing that the setting isn't appropriate. Lena reveals that she's undergoing hormone treatment due to unstable hormonal fluctuations causing weight gain. Later, she ventures outside upon hearing a sound, discovering a knife responsible for the noise. She employs the knife to cut and consume fruit before standing before a mirror. In a different scene, Eva lies in her room when insects fall onto her and infiltrate her clothing. The insects begin to crawl over her body and eventually enter her mouth, causing her significant distress. Eva chokes, struggles to speak, and regurgitates blood along with a swarm of insects. Some insects burrow beneath her skin, leading her to injure herself by tearing her arm in desperation before losing consciousness. Meanwhile, Hasbi attempts to shoot a rat with a gun, but Dina intervenes, preventing his action. This leads to a heated exchange between them. At the hospital, Nadia and the others realize they have been driving in circles. Jeffrey recognizes the recurrence of the phenomenon and reveals to Hanif and Nadia the disturbing truth. 25 years prior, a fire consumed one of the rooms in the orphanage, claiming the lives of 3 girls. Subsequently, it was discovered that Ms. Mira had engaged in dark magic, sacrificing the girls in the fire. Despite attempts to escape, they always found themselves returning to the orphanage. Eventually, they apprehended Ms. Mira, who met a gruesome end after being locked up and exhibiting erratic behavior. In a chilling turn of events, an unseen force manipulates Hasbi, compelling him to grasp a stapler and seal his mouth shut with it. Meanwhile, Hachi watches a videotape, only to witness live footage showing Miss Mira limping into the very room where Hachi is situated. Hachi observes her reflection on the TV screen, but when he looks ahead, he discerns her presence behind the TV, unsettlingly defying expectations. Haki becomes extremely frightened upon witnessing this sight and hastily exits the area. In that very location, he encounters Hasbi, whose mouth is secured shut with staples. An unseen force compels Hasbi to seize a firearm and forces him to shoot Hachi. Meanwhile, Nadia and the remaining individuals return to the orphanage, where Nadia commences a search for the children. While Dina and Sandy are located, Haki is conspicuously absent. Their efforts shift towards locating Hachi. During this time, Hanif informs Nadia that all other orphans from the orphanage have tragically perished in a bus accident. Subsequently, Dina and Sandy join the group, reporting their inability to find Hachi. Simultaneously, Jeffrey notices Lena's absence from the car and embarks on a search for her. He discovers her seated at a distance, consuming caterpillars. The shocking sight prompts Jeffrey to approach Lena, who subsequently faints upon regaining her composure, overwhelmed with fear. Meanwhile, Nadia enters Mr. Bandy's room and witnesses a woman hiding beneath the bed. Upon investigation, she uncovers a box containing disconcerting photographs. Nadia's emotional response is met with a hostile glare from Mr. Bandy. As Hanif continues his search for Hachi, Nadia approaches him, presenting the disturbing photos and inquiring about the identities of the girls depicted. Hanif discloses that they were all Nadia's friends, and these inappropriate images were captured by Mr. Bandy. Nadia concludes that Miss Mira's death was linked to her efforts to protect the girls. Hanif conjectures that a vendetta might be at play. In the midst of this revelation, Dina hands them a photograph featuring City, prompting Hanif's recollection that their presence at the location was at the behest of Maman and City. Jeffrey brings Lena indoors, recognizing the need for medical attention. However, Hanif reminds him that escaping the premises is not a viable option, underscoring this with the unsettling photos. Just as this unfolds, Maman and City rush to the scene, informing them of their inability to locate Hachi. In a fit of anger, Jeffrey launches an aggressive assault on Maman, prompting Nadia to brandish a knife and demand an explanation for their presence there. Hanif proceeds to display the unsettling photographs, at which point City discloses a disturbing truth. Pak Bandy had subjected each girl to molestation and had orchestrated the burning of 3 girls as a dire warning against speaking out. To evade his advances, City intentionally scalded her face with hot water. Miss Mira had delved into dark magic in a desperate bid to safeguard the girls. Her initial plan was to eliminate Mr. Bandy, which took an unfortunate turn when he manipulated the situation, ultimately leading to her imprisonment by Maman, City, and Bandy. Nadia inquires why City alone survived, to which she responds that her priority was protecting the children. Abruptly, Mustika, the girl discovered in Hanif's trunk, awakens and enters the house. She recounts their journey home, detailing a bus accident caused by a woman's curse. Mustika remained unharmed due to wearing headphones that shielded her from the spell. Despite her escape from the bus, she was struck by Hanif's car. In a surge of fury, Hanif storms into Bandy's room and throttles him. Nadia intervenes, soothing Hanif and emphasizing the importance of locating Hachi and departing. Hanif discovers a photo of Miss Mira with an infant named Myrni, leading him to comprehend Myrni's involvement. Outside, Hasbi arrives with the injured Hachi, prompting Hanif to pick him up and insist on their immediate departure. As they exit the house, the possessed Eva materializes, sharing the pain of losing loved ones. Her awareness returns momentarily, yet she succumbs to self-inflicted harm, leaving her bewildered and unconscious. Hanif implores Myrni to cease her actions, leading to her apparition and subsequent levitation. She proceeds to punish Hanif, and despite Nadia's intervention, Ronnie knocks her down. After some time, Nadia regains consciousness, greeted by the cacophony of others' screams. The situation takes a horrifying turn as insects emerge from Eva's peculiarly altered back. Jeffrey's finger and hand are visibly injured, and his attempt to approach Lena is thwarted by an unseen force, breaking her fingers and arm. In a separate room, scalding hot water rains down on the others, causing excruciating burns. Nadia's overwhelming helplessness intensifies as she watches the torment unfold. Amid the chaos, the anguished cries of her own children, Sandy and Dina, reach Nadia's ears from another room. This sight deeply saddens her, prompting her to enter a different room where Hanif, Bandi, and Hachi are present. In this moment, Myrni launches an attack, knocking Nadia down. Myrni reveals her tragic intent. Her mother aimed to shield her from Mr. Bandi's tainted influence, a goal that ultimately faltered. Myrni ominously predicts their impending demise. A shocking revelation follows. Rani is Myrni's daughter. Rani extracts a sickle from Mr. Bandi's body and confronts Nadia, urging her to slay her husband in exchange for the children's release. Hanif pleads for the children's safety, but Hachi intervenes, stabbing Myrni from behind.
Myrni's enraged retaliation towards Haki is met with Nadia's decisive attack, leading to her decapitation. Despite this seemingly final blow, Myrni defies death, reattaching her head to her body and vowing their collective demise. As she advances once more, Nadia employs a candle, igniting Myrni and causing her to stumble towards the incapacitated Bandi. As Bandi pleads for aid, Hanif ignores his cries, allowing him to burn for his sins. In the epilogue, a brief apparition of Myrni appears to Nadia when she picks up Haki from school. Meanwhile, within the now sold orphanage building, the echoes of Mira's distinctive gate reverberate through its halls. If you enjoyed this content, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. Don't forget to click the bell icon to stay updated on new video releases. Thank you for watching.